Broadcasting from the last homely house in Rivendell, Middle-earth, this is the Secret Fire Podcast, sent to burn at the heart of the world, episode number 27. I'm Michael.
I'm Brenden.
I'm Micah.
On this episode, we discover where the life-saving moth came from, we continue with Gandalf's adventures, and finish this chapter once and for all. Or will we? And we invite you to come along, join the fellowship, become a servant of the Secret Fire each week here on the GCT Network.
This is your Great Commission transmission.
What do you think, Brenden?
I don't think we're going to finish
That was a bold statement.
Yep.
Was it?
Yep. I do not think we're going to finish this chapter today.
You are a negative Nilly.
I am.
Why don't you think that we're going to finish? We've been doing this. This is the 7th episode on one chapter. You know what, though? I get enough feedback from listeners that that we're not doing a bad thing. There's plenty of listeners out there that love the depth that we're willing to go. So that works in our favor, huh, Micah? Where were we last? 2 weeks. 2 weeks, Brenden and Micah. We skipped out.
Where are we, though?
Where are we? Oh, sounds. See, I forgot. 2 weeks is too long. 2 weeks is too long. So 2 weeks ago was a planned absence because Brenden was going to, or he went to a conference, Ravi Zacharias conference. How was that?
Well, I tried to go.
You tried?
But then the theater that I work with, the Fly Community Theater,
Yes.
they needed some last minute, help. And I had to...
But did you say, but Ravi Zacharias?
I know.
Yo?
I know, but I'm not really that upset because apparently the whole thing is streaming on the internet. So why pay? I know regular ticket price was $65 for this conference, and that kind of baffles me. But it's whatever. Luckily, I bought the ticket when I was still technically a student, so it was only $15.
Ooh, nice.
But I when this last minute thing at the Fly popped up, I was past the refund date. I was like, you know what? It's only $15. If it was $65, I might have caused a bigger storm. But hey,
so you you took care of the emergency.
Yes, had to go buy a couple of laptops. Ended up buying a couple of Chromebooks actually.
Good.
For the Fly to use. One for the browser based ticketing system that we've been using for the past few productions. It's been working out well, but we realized that we need a house laptop at the Fly because otherwise people would have had to bring in and have had to bring in their own personal laptops to do it.
No, that's no good.
And that's not good.
That's inconvenient. You don't want to inconvenience your customers, your viewers, you
don't want to inconvenience the people who
your patrons
who volunteer for you.
No, right.
Because volunteers were also helping to run the box office.
Well, good. So you took care of that. And then last week was an unplanned absence. Micah was sick as a dog, and we don't like to do shows.
Bueno.
Yeah, we don't like to do shows without Micah, the lore master.
Was that the only reason, though?
Well, you also had 2 performances last week. You
were roughly under the weather, and normally... I think you would have still done the show, but you needed to rest.
He did do the show, and he did a great job. He's Grandpa Joe in
modifier.
He was Grandpa Joe in Willy Wonka Jr., the musical. Micah was a fantastic Grandpa Joe, absolutely fantastic. And then later on that night was the other production of Willy Wonka, where Micah, you were up in the sound booth. What were you doing up there?
Spotlight.
Oh, okay. Running the spotlight. So that's why we weren't here. We apologize to you listeners that look forward to a new episode being released each Tuesday morning in the early AM in your favorite podcast app. Just search for that's our other show. Just search for Secret Fire Podcast, and you can subscribe and never miss another episode. Let's go ahead and make sure that we don't fail to mention it right now. Next week is also a planned absence.
Yes.
That's the weekend of Thanksgiving, and there will be much well-mannered frivolity going on during that weekend. So we do not plan on being in the studio. Hopefully, I will be able to find the time this week to put together a special episode from the archives. Go deep into the vault, and I have an idea of what I want to do. Should I give a little tease?
You do what you want to.
Well, I'll just say this: I've been rereading the Chronicles of Narnia lately. And
Okay.
I have an interview in the vaults that would be of great interest to other listeners, such as Kate. If Kate is still with us, we haven't heard from her in quite a while, but she's a big Narnia fan, and most Tolkien fans are also fans of C.S. Lewis and Narnia, the Chronicles of Narnia. So anyway, there's a little tease for you there.
I think I know where you're
Well,
going.
we'll have to see. And, there was some big news. They cast somebody as Jill in the Silver Chair. So it looks like the Silver Chair is in at least pre-production to come to the big screen. It's been years since we've had a Narnia film.
That's true.
What was the last one?
The Voyage of the Dawn Treader.
I can't remember if that one was any good.
That was good. But the Prince Caspian one, they really said, yeah, the book, go ahead and leave the book at home. We don't need it.
Yeah,
we
that
don't
one
need
was
that at
no
all.
good.
That was a complete and utter departure, in my humble Hobbit opinion. All right, guys. Last time we started hearing from Gandalf, and we learned we learned a little bit about Saruman the Wise.
Not Saruman the White.
He's no longer white. Now he's
Saruman the
Saruman of
Wise.
many colors. And a great discussion on that. He has left the path of wisdom. He that breaks a thing, right? So let's back up just a little bit and get a running start. We left Gandalf on the pinnacle of Orthanc. Correct? Okay, Brenden, you direct the story.
Yes.
Yeah.
They took me. This is Gandalf speaking.
Okay.
They took me and they set me alone on the pinnacle of Orthanc, in the place where Saruman was accustomed to watch the stars. There was no descent save by a narrow stair of many thousand steps, and the valley below seems far away. I looked on it and saw that whereas it had once been green and fair, it was now filled with pits and forges. Wolves and orcs were housed in Isengard, for Saruman was mustering a great force of his own account, in rivalry of Sauron, and not in his service yet. Over all his works a dark smoke hung and wrapped itself about the sides of Orthanc. I stood alone on an island in the clouds, and I had no chance of escape. And my days were bitter. I was pierced with cold, and I had but little room in which to pace to and fro, brooding on the coming of the riders of the north.
He didn't even have the room to properly brood.
Yeah,
No, that's a bad spot to be in.
yeah. And I think it's interesting that he's really now Riders of the North. That is the
Riders of the North.
That's not, no.
Ding, 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 ding,
no
ding.
Riders of the North.
Riders of
The-
the North.
I can't. The Numenor. Is he
Into
talking about?
the land they come.
Is he talking about the Rangers? The Rangers of the North.
The Riders of the... I'm sorry, I was singing The Doors.
Oh.
I had but little room in which to pace to and fro, brooding on the coming of the riders to the north.
To the north. I said of the north. That's why I was
they are
confused.
coming up from
So they're the Black Riders.
Mordor.
He's worrying
Yes,
about the Black
the
Riders coming.
Riders.
Okay, thank you.
I think that's why Riders is capitalized.
Mm-hmm,
Capitalized.
That the Nine
Into the north they roll. Oh.
That the Nine had indeed arisen, I felt assured, apart from the words of Saruman, which might be lies. Long ere I came to Isengard, I had heard tidings by the way that could not be mistaken. Fear was ever in my heart for my friends in the Shire, but still I had some hope. I hoped that Frodo had set forth at once, as my letter had urged, and that he had reached Rivendell before the deadly pursuit began. And both my fear and my hope proved ill-founded. For my hope was founded on a fat man and Bree, and my fear was founded on the cunning of Sauron. But fat men who sell ale have many calls to answer, and the power of Sauron is still less than fear makes it. But in the circle of Isengard, trapped and alone, it was not easy to think that the hunters before whom all have fled or fallen, would falter in the Shire far away.
And that is where we left off on the last episode.
Exactly.
And this again, it's such a simple statement, but he didn't even have the room to brood on all of these things. This is what we would call in the New Testament a thlipsis.
Yeah.
He's in between a rock and a hard place. He is under persecution by Saruman the White. Saruman the Wise. Saruman the White. Why do I keep saying that? Saruman of many colors, whom Gandalf doesn't even know that he can trust a single word that comes out of his mouth. How far Saruman has fallen.
The Council of Elrond is beginning. Come with me, both of you.
So here we are, caught up. We're going to finish the chapter, finish the Council of Elrond.
Actually, I'm sorry, I have to bring this up.
Oh.
But it didn't strike me last time while we were recording. But I was
That's 3 weeks ago.
Exactly. I was listening to the last episode on the way in.
Uh-huh.
And just the simple change in the phonemic sound from white to wise. I think Tolkien was really milking that. Not milking it
in a bad way.
In a bad way. Not in a bad way, but in a good way. He was really that was a very intentional choice to make
everything
that
he
change.
did was intentional.
And it just didn't hit me until I was listening to us talk about it or talk around it coming here today. But with white, that T sound, that hard T sound, it's very absolute.
Okay.
It's very hard, rigid, solid. But with wise, it wavers. Like that sound wave just wavers, and it's iffy, and it's it's very it's very tricksy. It's tricksy. It's tricksy. Do you have that? Do you have tricksy?
I told you he was tricksy.
Tolkien?
It's very flimsy. It's not as solid as that T, and I think that speaks volumes to what Saruman the character has undergone. This change that he's gone from.
I really love that thought.
From breaking the light that white light that he's broken.
And you know what?
And becoming Saruman of many colors.
Tolkien, as a philologist, was very. I mean,
yes.
His science is wholly wrapped up in the concept of sound shifts. Yeah. That's how he was able to triangulate, Old Gothic and things and Welsh in order to say we have lost these words in their language, but because of sound shifts and these various forms over the years, we can triangulate, and the word for such and such is probably this. Mm-hmm. And so and I love that concept. I just finished reading. We'll talk about it later on in the episode at when we get to the party tree. But sound shifts, and what you're talking about is sound shifts. What does it mean? What does it feel like?
There you go. And he was drawing on that feeling that produced that rhetorically produced effect within the audience,
which can be likened to music. How is this going to affect the emotion?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder. Those are great thoughts.
It's like he went from if you're playing a guitar, he went from a G chord to an A minor, and you feel that shift.
Oh yeah, anyway, okay, yeah. It's subtle, but it's meaningful.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's potent.
It is potent.
Potent.
Potentate?
I saw you, cried Frodo. You were walking backwards and forwards. The moon shone in your hair. Gandalf paused, astonished, and looked at him. It was only a dream, said Frodo, but it suddenly came back to me. I had quite forgotten it. It came some time ago, after I left the Shire, I think.
Okay. I can't recall when this dream was. Is this during Three's Company? When they...
Let's find out. It actually just hit me where it's at, too.
Okay. Because these dreams, and we've been pointing out the significance of the dreams all along the way. These aren't here, higgledy-piggledy, as they say. It's not just thrown in because, here's some space to fill.
Who says higgledy-piggledy?
I just did. Didn't you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. And we keep talking about Providence, and Frodo gets these dreams, and every time he has a dream, we stop and we point that out. Did you find it? He's looking. He's looking.
Yes. It's at the end of A Conspiracy Unmasked.
Okay.
It's at the end of the chapter, of chapter 5, Conspiracy Unmasked. You want to read that?
Please.
Okay, so...
Refresh our memory.
So when at last he had gone to bed, Frodo could not sleep for some time. His legs ached, and he was glad that he was riding in the morning. Eventually he fell into a vague dream, in which he seemed to be looking out of a high window over a dark sea of tangled trees. Down below, among the roots, there was the sound of creatures crawling and snuffling. He felt sure they would smell him out sooner or later. Then he heard a noise in the distance. At first he thought it was a great wind coming over the leaves of the forest. Then he knew that it was not leaves, but the sound of the sea far off, capital C, far off. A sound he had never heard in waking life, though it had often troubled his dreams. Suddenly, he found he was out in the open. There were no trees after all. He was on a dark heath, and there was a strange salt smell in the air. Looking up, he saw before him a tall white tower standing down on a high ridge. Wait, is this... No, Isengard's not white. Is it?
I don't think...
No.
Is this
the wrong one? Oh,
dream
that's the
that he
wrong
had?
one.
Because this is in Crick Hollow. He said he dreamed it after he left the Shire.
Yes.
I cannot remember. Was it in Bombadil's house? What dream did he have then?
Let's look at chapter 7.
Oh, my goodness.
House of Tom Bombadil.
No, but he says it was shortly. Or no, he says after I left the Shire. I think. After I left the Shire.
I don't know.
Okay.
Let's let the listeners find that.
Yeah,
one
please
out.
find that
What
for
is
us.
this dream that Frodo claims that he saw Gandalf in? What is this dream? Let's see.
We thought we had it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. Then it was... Here we go. Then it was late in coming, said Gandalf, as you will see. I was in an evil plight, and those who know me will agree that I have seldom been in such need. And do not bear much misfortune well. Gandalf the Grey caught like a fly in a spider's treacherous web. Yet even the most subtle spiders may leave a weak thread. At first I feared, as Saruman no doubt intended, that Radagast had also fallen. Yet I had caught no hint of anything wrong in his voice or in his eye at our meeting. If I had, I should never have gone to Isengard, or I should have gone more warily. Saruman guessed, and he had concealed his mind and deceived his messenger. It would have been useless in any case to try and win over the honest Radagast to treachery.
Aww.
He sought me in good faith, and so persuaded me. Good old Radagast the Brown. That was the undoing of Saruman's plot. For Radagast knew no reason why he should not do as I asked. Oh, let me read that again because I put the emphasis on the wrong syllable.
Oh, right.
That was the undoing of Saruman's plot. For Radagast knew no reason why he should not do as I asked, and he rode away towards Mirkwood, where he had many friends of old. And the eagles of the mountains went far and wide, and they saw many things: the gathering of the wolves, and the mustering of orcs, and the 9 riders going hither and thither in the lands. And they heard news of the escape of Gollum, and they sent a messenger to bring these tidings to me. And so it was that when summer waned, there came a night of moon, and Gwaihir, did I say that right?
Yes.
Gwaihir the Wind Lord, the swiftest of the great eagles, came unlooked for to Orthanc, and he found me standing on the pinnacle.
Wait, where's the moth?
I'm not there yet. When
Yeah, you sure aren't.
when I spoke to him, I see what you're being snarky. I see what you're doing.
Throwing shade.
Yes, yes. Then I spoke to him, and he bore me away. And Saruman was aware. Oh, before Saruman was aware. I was far from Isengard, ere the wolves and orcs issued from the gate to pursue me. How far can you bear me? I said to Gwaihir. How does an eagle sound? I don't know. Many leagues, said he, but not to the ends of the earth. I was sent to bear tidings, not burdens. Then I must have a steed on land, I said, and a steed surpassingly swift, for I have never had such need of haste before. Then I will bear you to Edoras, where the Lord of Rohan sits in his halls, he said, for that is not very far off.
All right, Gwaihir. Sindarin means Wind Lord. Okay, and this is from the Complete Guide to Middle Earth by Robert Foster. Anybody that's watching on the video. Let's see here. Third Fellowship of the Rings. Third Age, 2941 to 3019. The Lord of the Eagles of the Misty Mountains. Gwaihir befriended Gandalf when the wizard healed him of a poisoned wound in 2941. He and his eagles rescued Gandalf and Thorin and company from the orcs. Gwaihir later brought his eagles to the Battle of the Five Armies, in which they played a crucial role. In the time of the... what's j.r.r.? He aided Gandalf... War of the Ring. He aided Gandalf 3 times. First freeing him from Isengard, then... We'll stop there. We haven't
stop
got
there.
Yet.
Yeah, don't...
Okay?
Yeah.
So, Gwaihir... The Wind Lord, the Lord of the Eagles, man. Mm-hmm. So you refer to him with some respect, would you? Oh,
hey,
don't be asking how he talks.
Says the guy who was making chicken sounds.
Yeah.
Hey, this is a serious show.
This is a serious... Guys, we need to knuckle down.
Yes.
See, if we didn't take all these comedic tangents, we could probably finish the chapter, but instead we get chicken noises. And I was glad... For in the riddle mark of Rohan, the Rohirrim.
Yes.
For in the riddle Ritter.
Back up a little bit. Back up. Get a running start.
Get a running start. Well, it's on the page turn for me, so it's gonna be choppy.
Oh, okay.
Then I will bear you to Edoras, where the Lord of Rohan sits in his halls. He said, for that is not very far off. And I was glad. For in the Rittermark of Rohan, the Rohirrim, thank you, the horse lords dwell, and there are no horses like those that are bred in that great vale between the Misty Mountains and the White. Are the men of Rohan still to be trusted, do you think? I said to Gwaihir, for the treason of Saruman has shaken my faith.
Oh, man. Big effect.
They pay a tribute of horses, he answered, and send many yearly to Mordor, or so it is said. But they are not yet under the yoke. If Saruman has become evil... But if Saruman has become evil, as you say, then their doom cannot be long delayed.
So here we are. We're just building up again. All the pins are up and ready to be knocked down by the Dark Lord. Okay? That's setting the drama or the tension, right?
Mm-hmm. He set me down in the land of Rohan ere dawn, and now I have lengthened my tale overlong. The rest must be more brief. Oh, look at that.
No moth to be seen.
No moth at all. This rolling stone gathered no moth.
Yes.
In Rohan, I found evil already at work. The lies of Saruman, and the king of the land would not listen to my warnings. He bade me take a horse and be gone.
Beat it.
And I chose one much to my liking, but little to his. I took the best horse in his land, and I have never seen the like of him. Well, then he must be a very noble beast indeed, said Aragorn. And it grieves me more than many tidings that might seem worse to learn that Sauron levies such tribute. It was not so when last I was in that land. Nor is it now, I will swear, said Boromir. It is a lie that comes from the enemy. I know the men of Rohan, true and valiant. Our allies dwelling... I gotta start that over. Nor is it now, I will swear, said Boromir. It is a lie that comes from the enemy. I know the men of Rohan, true and valiant, our allies, dwelling still in the lands that we gave them long ago. The shadow of Mordor lies on distant lands, answered Aragorn. Saruman has fallen under it. Rohan is beset. Who knows what you will find there if you ever return? Not this, at least, said Boromir, that they will buy their lives with horses. They love their horses next to their kin, and not without reason, for the horses of the Rittermark come from the fields of the north, far from the shadow, and their race, as that of their masters, is descended from the free days of old.
Again, from the Complete Guide to Middle-earth by Robert Foster, Rohan, Sindarin, it's a Sindarin word, it means horseland. The kingdom of the Rohirrim, bounded by the arid Nimraeus, the Eisen, the Misty Mountains, Fangorn, and Limlight, Anduin, and the mouths of the Entwash and the Mering Stream. Once a province of Gondor, the land was given to the men of Eotheod by Cirion of Gondor in Third Age 2510 in return for their aid in the Battle of the Fields of Celebrant and their swearing to the oath of Errol. Rohan, as the country was then called in Gondor, was ruled by King Errol and his descendants, and it goes on from there. So it is a province that was given to them by Gondor. And,
there you go.
And Rohan means horse lords. Horseland, I'm sorry. The Rohirrim are the horse lords.
Yes. True indeed, said Gandalf. And there is one among them that might have been foaled in the morning of the world. The horses of the Nine cannot vie with him. Tireless, swift as the flowing wind, Shadowfax, they called him. By day his coat glistens like silver, by night it is like a shade, and he passes unseen. Light is his footfall. Never before had any man mounted him, but I took him and I tamed him, and so speedily he bore me that I reached the Shire when Frodo was on the Barrow Downs. Though I set out from Rohan only when he set out from Hobbiton. So we've kind of got this aligning of timelines going on here.
Yes, that's what's so awesome.
Yeah.
This is all tying up. Shadowfax was extremely strong and swift. He could run 12 hours at a stretch and could outrun the steeds of the Nazgul. So that's why Gandalf points this out. Hey, I left at this time and they set out at that time, and I was able to get this close to them because of Shadowfax.
Mm-hmm. But fear grew in me as I rode. Ever as I came north, I heard tidings of the riders, and though I gained on them day by day, they were ever before me. They had divided their forces, I learned. Some remained on the eastern borders, not far from the Greenway, and some invaded the Shire from the south. I came to Hobbiton, and Frodo had gone, but I had words with old Gamgee, many words and few to the point. That sounds about right. Many words and few to the point. He had much to say about the shortcomings of the new owners of Bag End.
He wanted to talk about the Saxville Baggins.
Mm-hmm.
I can't abide changes, said he. Not at my time of life, and least of all changes for the worst. Changes for the worst, he repeated many times.
Changes for the worst. So that could be taken comedically. but it could also be taken.
No, this is in line with hobbits. They don't like change. He
No.
doesn't want the Saxville Bagginses living in his old master's home.
But Michael,
What?
elegiac lament,
Oh, I'm sorry.
because Gamgee knows
This is an elegiac lament.
that these are changes for the worse.
Yes. And he's looking
And
back on the
He's looking back. That
to
smile,
the
that
halcyon
levity.
days.
Yeah, to the halcyon. Yes, he's smiling, and then that smile just slowly fades away as reality sets in. Just interesting. Worst is a bad word, I said to him, and I hope that you do not live to see it. As I move my microphone. But amidst his talk, I gathered at last that Frodo had left Hobbiton less than a week before, and that a black horseman had come to the hill the same evening. Then I rode on in fear. I came to Buckland and found it in an uproar, as busy as a hive of ants that has been stirred with a stick. I came to the house at Crick Hollow, and it was broken open and empty, but on the threshold there lay a cloak that had been Frodo's.
Yes, and that is in Lord of the Rings Online. Lotro has that cloak lying there.
It is, yeah.
I think we pointed that out when
We did, yeah.
when we were there. But listen to what's going on here. Gandalf, okay, he was waylaid, right, by Saruman the Wise, and once he was rescued by Gwaihir, and then he gets Shadowfax, he's able with that horse to go back in his mind, if I run fast enough, perhaps I may be able to reach Frodo. And this whole time he's just one step behind. Well, it starts with like 5 steps and then 4 steps, and it's getting closer and closer and closer, and he's just there, but can't get him. And I believe that also, correct me if you guys think I'm wrong, but I believe that is also the providence of Iluvatar keeping him from reaching Frodo, because Iluvatar is working something greater in this whole opera, right?
Yeah.
So where he is showing his sole divine right to rule. He rules in the affairs of the free peoples of Middle-earth.
So then, not to question Eru Iluvatar's judgment then, but why doesn't he let Gandalf just go ahead and catch up with Frodo?
Perhaps because Gandalf is on a specific mission, okay, that he was sent by the Maiar, or the Valar. Was it the Valar that pulled them out of pulled the Astari out of the Maiar? Said, "You 5 Maiar, you're now Astari." I can't remember off the top of my head, but the Astari were on a mission. They are angelic beings. They are holy beings, but they had parameters that they had to operate within, and they could not. That's why Gandalf doesn't just stand there and says, "Well, I have my staff. I'll just fix all this stuff." He's constrained. You aren't allowed to do that. Your job, and we'll get to this sometime, perhaps it's in the appendices, or some year we'll get to this point where it said basically verbatim, of course I'm paraphrasing, but the Astari, or Gandalf specifically, was only allowed to influence the hearts of men and hobbits and dwarves and the free folk. He isn't allowed to just take care of their problems. He has to influence. And so perhaps in his desperation now, because he doesn't know, he can't see, even the wise can't see all ends, right? If we haven't read that quote, we're going to get to it pretty quickly. Perhaps in that panic, that worry, perhaps he would do something that would go beyond his bounds. We already know that the 2 blues are unaccounted for. Where'd they go? They went off into the east, and there's speculation about what happened to them. But the big one is, Radagast really as well. He has left his mission. He has said, I'm done with these people. I like the animals. Look at, they're so cute and cuddly and stuff, and I'll let birds poop on my head, right? That's how Peter Jackson saw it.
Yeah.
But Saruman the Wise just went off the rails. He said, in fact, I'm going to do the exact opposite of what my commission is. It's only Gandalf. And even Gandalf has to be, and I'm just surmising here, right? Iluvatar is keeping him back so that he does not also leave the path of wisdom. And I would submit that the path of wisdom, as Gandalf was talking about, was performing the tasks that you have been given to do in this grand opera orchestrated by Iluvatar. Thoughts?
Yeah, that actually reminds me of Jonah.
And how's that?
Well, just because Jonah, he was the prophet, and he was given his mission, and he tried to run
Jonah
away
was
for
a
it.
prophet, but he never really got it. Sad but true. Jonah was a VeggieTales?
I don't know.
This is
What?
why we're not going to finish the chapter.
This is
He started it. He's wanting to talk about Jonah. I can't help it if VeggieTales sneaks right into there.
chicken sounds. Jonah was a prophet.
But he never really got it.
Oh no, he got his mission, and he tried to run away.
And he
from
didn't
it.
like it.
So in a way, that running away from it, I guess, from what you just said, that's kind of like Radagast. Maybe the Istari are in a way some form of prophet, and they ran away from their mission.
Oh, they're definitely prophets.
They're prophets. Okay, so then you've got Radagast who just ran away from his mission. And then Gandalf is kind of like Jonah when he comes back after he's been regurgitated from the fish, and he's been
Or regurgitated by
from the tower.
Balrog.
from the ooh,
Keep that in mind.
that's a good. Hey, listen at you. But then you've got Saruman, who would be like Jonah chapter 4, and Jonah basically gets ahead of God, and he starts thinking
for him.
for God.
Here's how you should do it.
Exactly. And that's what Saruman essentially is trying to do not do to, but
Iluvatar, you should allow me to have the ring.
yeah.
And I'll rule in the way that they need to be ruled.
Yeah. So that's just a
Those
little,
are great thoughts.
so, hey.
Great thoughts. We're not going to make it through the end of this chapter.
No.
Why'd you make me say that in the opening?
I didn't make you say nothing. Chicken
Chicken
sounds.
I felt pressured.
Chicken sounds.
Chicken sounds.
I'm going to hold that over your head.
Yes.
I'm going to hold that over your head. Chicken sounds. Micah, you feel free to do so as well. Okay, another something I want to bring up about Gandalf, though. There seems to be a lot of language with Gandalf about hope.
Yeah.
He keeps marking out when he loses hope or when he regains hope. And here's one's about to come up. I came to the house at Crick Hollow, and it was broken open and empty, but on the threshold there lay a cloak that had been Frodo's. Then for a while hope left me, and I did not wait to gather news.
Which reminds me of Elijah.
How so?
Well, when he is being persecuted by Jezebel and Ahab, right? And he just takes off and goes to the wilderness, to the mountain of God, actually, and holes up in a cave. He had lost hope,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's
Hey, there you go.
there you go.
And I did not wait to gather news, or I might have been comforted.
Oh,
But I rode on the trail of the riders. It was hard to follow, for it went many ways, and I was at a loss. But it seemed to me that one or two had ridden towards Bree.
and that way I went.
And that way I went, for I thought of words that might be said to the innkeeper. Oh, here we go.
Boy, that was subtle. I love that.
Yeah.
For I thought of words that might have been said to the innkeeper.
Butterbur. Butterbur, they call him, thought I. If this delay was his fault, I would melt all the butter in him.
Ooh.
I will roast the old fool over a slow fire. He expected no less, and when he saw my face, he fell down flat and began to melt on the spot. What?
Poor Butterbur.
What did you do to him? Cried Frodo in alarm. He was really very kind to us and did all that he could. And Gandalf laughed. Don't be afraid, he said. I did not bite, and I barked very little. So overjoyed was I by the news that I had got out of him when he stopped quaking that I embraced the old fellow. How it happened I could not then guess, but I learned that you had been in Bree the night before and had gone off that morning with Strider. Talk about being 5 steps behind, 4 steps, 3 steps, the very day.
Yes. Yes.
The very, oh man, that's close.
But this is it. When he hears that, that is all the news that he needs.
Strider! I cried, shouting for joy. Yes, sir, I'm afraid so, sir. Said, yes, sir, I'm afraid so, sir, said Butterbur, mistaking me. He got at them in spite of all that I could do, and they took up with him. They behaved very queer, and all the time they were here, with willful, you might say. Ass, fool, thrice worthy and beloved Barliman, said I. It's the best news I have had since midsummer. It's worth a gold piece at least. May your beard be laid under the enchantment of surpassing excellent for 7 years, said I. Now, I can take a night's rest. Now I can take a night's rest. The first since I have forgotten when.
That's a lot of drama.
Yeah. That's relief for Gandalf.
It really is.
Because he's been running hard.
Okay, so now I mean, think about the position that he's in. He goes, well, he's in the Shire. He's at Bag End, but he hears about something that's going on. He runs over there to see what's going on, and then in the meantime, he encounters Radagast. Radagast says, "Hey, Saruman is looking for you." What's Gandalf think when he hears that? Oh, good. I can go and see the head of the order. Right? So that's a reprieve. That's a relief to him. Makes his way to Saruman, finds out that Saruman has not only fallen, he is now in direct rebellion to his call, to his station. This is his commission. This is what you do, Saruman, as the head of the order of Istari, the head of the order of these angelic holy beings, the Maiar, right? To go be sent into Middle-earth in the Third Age. That's the only time that the wizards existed, in order to encourage the hearts of the free peoples in order to stand and fight against Sauron. And he rebelled against that. Gandalf is the only one, the sole Istari that is held to his post, his commission. Right? Mm-hmm. But he is taken and he is imprisoned by Saruman the Wise, Saruman of many colors, and he is in such a position that he doesn't even have the room to properly brood over how terrible this whole situation is. He knows that Frodo had been waiting for him to return. He cannot return. And then here comes a eucatastrophe. At Gwaihir. The eagles that people like to complain about at the end of the story, well, why didn't they just go? Because that's not how the eagles operate.
Yeah.
Okay? That is not how they operate. But here comes Gwaihir and rescues him from prison, takes him to get this horse, well, to meet up with the Rohirrim, but he ends up with the horse, the king of horses, that is able to fly at such a speed that Gandalf gets so close to Frodo. The only thing that he wants to do is get to Frodo. His love for that hobbit, and also the knowledge of the burden that he carries and the power that's in his pocket, because he has the truth now. He knows what ring this is. Mm-hmm. Leading all the way to here. Back to Barliman Butterbur, who I love as a character. Doesn't he remind you, Micah, of a hobbit?
Yeah, he does. That's because all the men of Bree are very hobbity.
Yes, because that
multicultural.
Yeah, for so many generations, that men and hobbits live side by side.
Except for that one greasy character.
Well,
you get greasy characters in every bunch, like a certain hobbit that we'll
meet.
Rediscuss at the end.
We'll meet again. Yes, yes.
Oh.
There's a little forward that you have to hold on to, dear listeners.
Oh, jeez.
You and Brendan, you are absolutely right, and we are not going to make it through the end of this chapter.
Don't you play that yet? Don't you?
What?
Michael? We can get to where Gandalf finishes speaking.
All right.
It is just over the hill.
Let's go.
Okay.
We have one last hill to cross. We can
Drive
do it.
on, sir.
So I stayed there that night, wondering much what had become of the riders. For only of two had there yet been any news in Bree, it seemed. But in the night we heard more. 5, at least, came from the west, and they drew down the gates and passed through Bree like a howling wind, and the Bree folk are still shivering and expecting the end of the world. I got up before dawn and went after them. I do not know, but it seems clear to me that this is what happened. Their captain remained in secret away south of Bree, while 2 rode ahead through the village, and 4 more invaded the Shire. But when these were foiled in Bree and at Crick Hollow, they returned to their captain with tidings, and so left the road unguarded for a while, except by their spies. The captain then sent some eastward straight across the country, and he himself, with the rest, rode along the road in great wrath. I galloped to Weathertop like a gale, and I reached it before the sundown on my second day from Bree, and they were there before me.
This is the incident that took place on October 3rd, which is my birthday.
Yes.
When the company that set out from Bree, and they get to the Midgewater Marshes, and they see the flashes of light and lightning taking place in the distance. Mm-hmm. This is what that is.
The lightning that was coming up from the ground.
Yes.
Instead of, coming down from
October
the sky.
3rd.
Yep. I galloped to Weathertop like a gale, and I reached it before sundown on my second day from Bree, and there they were before me. They drew away from me, for they felt the coming of my anger, and they dared not face it while the sun was in the sky. But they closed round at night, and I was besieged on the hilltop with the old ring of Amansul. I was hard put to it indeed. Such light and flame cannot have been seen on a Weathertop since the war beacons of old. At sunrise, I escaped and fled towards the north. I could not hope to do more. It was impossible to find you, Frodo, in the wilderness, and it would have been folly to try with all the 9 at my heels. So I had to trust to Aragorn. But I hoped to draw some of them off, yet reach Rivendell ahead of you and send out help. 4 riders did indeed follow me, but they turned back after a while and made for the ford, it seems. That helped a little, for there were only 5, not 9, when your camp was attacked. I reached here at last by a long, hard road, up the Horwell, and through the Etten Moors, and down from the north. It took me nearly 14 days from Weathertop.
15.
Mine says 14.
What? What does yours say, Micah?
15.
Mine says 14.
That is very odd.
That is quite odd because that goofs up the whole... There's a whole calendar that goes along. Wow.
It says 14. He's not lying.
I'd return that.
Oh. Okay. I got it on discount. I don't know what to tell you. Mass media paperback. What can we say?
Hey, watch it turn out that it's the one edition volume the one volume edition that's wrong on that.
Oh no, we'll figure it out. From Weathertop, for I could not ride among the rocks of the Troll Fells, and Shadowfax departed. I sent him back to his master, but a great friendship has grown between us, and if I have the need, he will come at my call. But so it was that I came to Rivendell only 3 days before the ring.
2 days.
Mine says 3.
Whoa.
Wow. Well, that's to make up for...
That would balance it out.
How
Why would
crazy.
that's weird. Okay. I don't know. Huh.
Look, I don't know what to tell you. You guys are the experts.
Wow.
And news of its peril had already been brought here. which proved well indeed. And that, Frodo, is the end of my account. May Elrond and the others forgive the length of it, but such a thing has not happened before, that Gandalf broke tryst and did not come when he promised. An account to the ring-bearer of so strange an event was required, I think. Well, the tale is now told, from first to last. Here we all are, and here is the ring. But we have not yet come any nearer to our purpose. What shall we do with it?
You need say no more. We'd best get a move on. There are still goblins about.
Oh, bother. More mountains?
No, don't you see? The sun is setting in the west, behind the mountains. We're on the other side, to the edge of the land beyond.
I'm actually glad that this is where we stopped today.
Me too.
Instead of going through the end of the chapter, because this is a like a contained narrative, right? Mm-hmm. That we can dwell on, that we can chew on for the next 2 weeks. Because once again, dear listeners, we do not plan on being here the week of Thanksgiving in the United States. I know Canada has a different Thanksgiving, and I don't know when the Brits have their Thanksgiving. I'm funny.
That was so funny.
I am funny.
Get out of here.
I do. I mean, I'm funny. Where is it?
I suppose you think that was terribly clever.
Yeah,
well, yes, Gandalf, I do.
No.
Don't you agree, though? That was good. That was a good segment.
Mm-hmm.
A good place to stop. And then next time we'll have some wonderful things to talk about. And this question now: what shall we do with it? The tale is now told. Mm-hmm. The tale is told from first to last. We have the history of the One Ring. Wow. We have
there you go.
Discrepancies in dates between two different editions.
Well, there's not discrepancies. It's just...
He says 15 days and 2 days, and ours is 14 days.
But it's the same. It amounts to the same.
It's a wash in the end, but I wonder what the deal is with that.
I don't know.
What's the dealio? Some listener out there, please let us know, because we don't know right now. Anything that you want to say about this segment? Any other thoughts, guys?
Nah.
Nothing that you want to make sure that we point out, that we reiterate, anything like that?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, well, there's something... What in the world is this?
What are these?
Oh.
Replies to the party invitations.
Good gracious.
Good gracious indeed. We didn't get a whole lot of replies to the party invitation from the last episode, but we did get one that was pretty interesting being sent to us by @BenBrick via Twitter. That's with one in, Ben Brick. He tweeted at us, "I never thought I would manage to catch up to the current episode, and now I wait." Because there was that 2-week period of no shows.
Yeah.
So, Ben, we should all be caught up. The Fellowship, we're all gathered together here at the Council of Elrond. It's a good place to be in this house of refreshing. And the tables are well laden. And we are just, well, we bring this up because we're just thrilled to have you as part of the Fellowship.
That's right.
Yes. And, we sent out, well, let's get to the party tree because this will tie into some other feedback.
Yes.
It was announced several days ago that The Lord of the Rings, Amazon and Warner Brothers is in talk for a series adaptation of The Lord of the Rings. And then several days after that, lo and behold, the talks are done. Amazon has the rights to produce. I'm loath to call it a TV series because it will air on Amazon Prime Video. I'll get it for free because I'm an Amazon Prime member.
Yeah.
And so should we just call it a TV series? What else do you call it?
Colloquially, it would be a TV series.
Let's just call it a TV series.
You call it an Amazon original
series.
That's what they.
Okay, Amazon original series. There you go. Thank you, son.
There you go.
And it's a done deal. So we will be seeing some adaptations. We don't know exactly what it is, but they're talking about the most commonly discussed thing is stories that immediately precede the Fellowship of the Ring.
It will be a sitcom based in the House of Tom Bombadil.
That'd be cool.
I don't know about the sitcom part.
It'll be like
sitcom.
No. It'll be who had the suggestion? Somebody, one
if
of the
it's
listeners.
like archaic comedy, then yes.
One of the listeners, I forgot who it was, suggested that it's like a Cheers sitcom in Brie. And I can't remember who said that. I can't remember who
That
said
would
that.
actually be cool.
It may have even been a patron saint who said that. I can't remember, but it was a few days ago.
Who would be Norm?
That's
the
Tom Bombadil.
question.
Hey Tom.
Hey. Yeah, here comes Tom Bombadil dancing in, yellow
dancing
boots
right on in.
and everything.
Like, what problem do you need help with this week,
But
Tom?
there's a lot of, we tweeted out the stories, and there's all kinds of feedback, such as Linus Fredrickson said that he feels ambiguous. Ambiguous. That's how I feel about this. A whole lot of people just said, yes! Let's see here. Somebody, Michael Combrink, says, yeah, other posters were talking about the Silmarillion, but this rules that out.
Well,
the Silmarillion.
I don't really want them to touch that.
I know.
I want
the
them,
Books of Lost
Here's
Tales.
the thing. I don't trust any company with something I love this much, but you know what? I'm still excited because it's...
Well, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So we can't fight against that. So let's talk about it amongst ourselves. Brenden, how do you feel?
I like the term ambiguous. I don't really know
I like
how
cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
Okay, because that leaves on a good foot.
If anything, I'll just enjoy the visuals.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm excited that if anything, it could be a gateway into real Tolkien.
And that's the majority of comments that we received from folks on Twitter was I'm hoping that this will draw more people to the text because it is a thing. It's a true statement that you'll come across many people that will say, I'm a huge fan of The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. And then they'll continue on. The films are my favorites of, well, wait a second. What about, how come you're not mentioning the books? Oh, I've never read the books. See, and to me, that's disappointing. And us who are lovers of Tolkien, we want people to read the books, right?
Yeah, because if you love the movies, you don't love Tolkien's work. You love Peter Jackson's adaptation of it.
Yes.
So.
Right. That's right.
And so I'm going to side, and all three of us are going to side with all those that are cautiously optimistic and hopeful that this will bring people into the actual world, the legendarium that Tolkien created. And so, there isn't much more that needs to be said about that. The one sidebar is that they are talking about that this deal leaves the option for a spin-off series as well. Now, Mike and I were talking the other day, and how fun it would be. This is the kind of a nerd that I am and Micah is. How about a show that just takes place in the Shire and we just watch the daily lives of hobbits?
Mm-hmm. Going to the grocery store.
Yes! Eating, walking around, cleaning, dusting off the mantle, stuff like that. I would love it. But
Brendan's having none of it, though.
Yeah, he's all, what?
Well, I'm just thinking, it wouldn't be very compelling.
To me, it would
be very compelling.
I would be compelled to watch it every single week.
I'd be rooting for him to buy the roast beef instead of the
Get
bacon.
the seeded loaf!
Mm-hmm.
The seeded loaf!
Oh, man.
Any other thoughts on that?
No.
What if there was one where, someone from our current,
No,
now...
don't even like it.
Was zip-zack back to it.
Well,
you know.
That's like Survivor or something.
Like a kid. No, like a kid in King Arthur's court.
I don't want modern day anything to touch.
A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's court.
Like it was something like that.
If it could be me,
sure. Yeah,
then I like the idea.
Hey,
anybody else, I think that stinks.
You need to audition.
Oh, what's that all about?
I hear you can audition.
What was that about?
Okay, so there's a a friend, an internet friend. His name's Ben. He actually works at a theater in Dallas, Fort Worth. There we go.
Fort Dallas, Knox.
No,
yeah,
Fort
okay.
Worth. No. And he started another Twitter account called Ben Auditions for LOTR. And it's basically him just choosing lines and characters for people who want to do it. If you want to participate, just follow that account. It's at Ben Auditions for LOTR. Follow that account, and he'll send you a line that he wants you to try, and he sent me that Gandalf line, and I did that this morning. So if you
did you record it and send it to him?
I did.
Oh, good.
It's on Twitter.
Okay.
What? Pull it up.
I'm going to.
It's on the twit.
You keep talking.
It's on the Twitterverse. But he'll send you a line reading, and there's already like several up there. I think he just started it. He started it really quickly after the show was announced. And it's just a fun account. These don't count as actual auditions. I gave you the wrong handle. Let me find that real quick.
All right.
We'll find me on there, and then
okay,
and then you'll catch it from there.
All right.
But several others have already chimed in. I think even patron saint John Wilkerson is going to maybe soon have a little audition video. I don't know.
Good.
Look, I can see it right there in the panel. Yep, that's it.
I love it. Well, let's see what this is. Okay, here, let's listen.
Goodbye, Bilbo, and take care of yourself. You are old enough, and perhaps wise enough.
Hey!
That's all it was.
Mr. Brenden Taylor, ladies and gentlemen.
That's all it was. And then
the handle is Ben, the number 4, LOTR.
Ben for LOTR. Thank you. And just already different people have already come in. They're quite funny. You can see there.
Okay, we're following them.
Okay, yes, follow and listeners of the podcast, if you want to chime in.
And tell them that Secret Fire Podcast sent you.
Yeah, hey, yeah, do that. Yeah.
Fantastic stuff. And I'll tell the listeners right now, when that series launches, we plan on incorporating that into the show here. We will have a special segment where we will recap and discuss the episodes. Does that sound like a fantastic idea?
It does.
Yeah. Yes. Let the Amazon original series flow through
you.
Anything else? Oh, yes. I did completed reading Tolkien and the Great War by John Garth. And if you have not read that, dear listeners, read it. Oh, my goodness. That was a fantastic book.
You know, it surprises me that he's a Tolkien fan. You think with all his country music albums, he wouldn't have time to...
Well, he was retired for a long time. He just started doing it again.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. It's like his second or third marriage or something, and he wanted to get out of the house, so he wrote he stopped writing Tolkien books and went back to Achy Breaky Heart or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, no more fun. Hey, Micah, you was cast in another upcoming production. Tell us about that.
Arsenic and Old Lace. I believe I always
It is.
mess up the title. Okay. And I am cast as Mortimer.
Cary Grant, ladies and gentlemen.
Fun.
And my daughter Haley is cast as
Abby,
one of the old ladies.
Yes.
And your friend Ray, she was cast as
Martha, the other old lady.
So these two old ladies, Brenden, have you ever been in a production of Arsenic and Old Lace?
I have not.
We need to put this on Patron St. Philip Presents The List, which is for our other show, Finding Christ in Cinema. That is, oh goodness, I just drew a blank. Who's the guy who did, who wrote, Frank Capra, okay?
Oh, It's a Wonderful Life.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the same writer. Cary Grant's in there. Here we are, like we're pulling in the... Boy, you talk about a Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court.
That'd be fun.
We just pulled in Finding Christ in Cinema. Let's do that show before I forget. Okay. Anything else, guys?
No, that's it for me.
All right. Well, before we get out of here, let's send out some more party invitations. The Secret Fire Podcast is live each Saturday, Louvatar willing, at about 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time in the GCT Network studio. You can join us for live video on our Twitch page at twitch.tv/Secret Fire Podcast.
You can join us on the Arkenstone server in Lord of the Rings Online at lotro.com. And you can support the GCT Network and the Secret Fire Podcast on Patreon at patreon.com/GCTN.
Yeah, to find out more about the Secret Fire Podcast, as well as our other shows, including Finding Christ in Cinema and the Theonauts, visit our main website at gctnetwork.com.
You can send us an email at secretfire@gctnetwork.com, or you can call and leave a voice line on the exclusive Hobbit hotline at 507-407-GCTN. That's 507-407-4286. Now, let's say you do want to participate with us on Twitter. You can tweet at us with the handle at SecretFireCast. But let's just say you want to listen to the good old podcast.
That's what I want to do.
That's what you're doing right now.
Oh.
You can do so at iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher Radio, TuneIn Radio, or your favorite podcatcher. Insert that podcatcher here and search them all for the Secret Fire podcast.
Yes, and our theme song, Hobbit's Dance, is from the album Memories of Middle-earth by Brobdingnagian Bards. Find out more about them and buy CDs and digital music and pot holders and everything else over on their website at thebards.net. And until next time, we regret to tell you...
This is the end. I'm going away. I'm leaving. Now, goodbye.
Goodbye! Goodbye!
It was tied to a barrow white. Ooh, that'd be scary. That goat would not survive.
When are we going to tell him the joke?
I don't know.
Okay.
When we finish the fellowship, between the fellowship and the two towers,
you'll get a special...
We will get a special treat. Listeners, you will get a special treat.
So stay tuned.
A wonderful, lovely treat.
All right.
A goat-tasted treat. What? Black Phillip.
There we go.
Oh, man.
All right. For all of you that are watching this on Twitch or on YouTube after the fact, we thank you for watching and sticking around. And you've been given all the ways to subscribe to the podcast and to keep up with us and
contact us.
Hey, contact us. Welcome to the fellowship, though. That's what we really want. We want you as a part of the fellowship. So come on in. The hobbits are fine.
That's weird. That's strange.
It was tied to a weird, strange hobbit.
Barleyman.
It was tied to a barleyman. All right. Bye-bye.